snap.
Mic check, mic check.
We came back.
Mic check, mic check.
Say it with me.
Mic check, mic check.
Now set it free.
All right, welcome back, people. All right, we are here, season 3, episode 6, I believe. Yeah, if not, it'll be correct on the thing, but I believe it is 6. I had another episode planned to finish editing and post for episode 6, but I wanted to get this out because these are some current events that I don't want to drag out another week or whatever. I am trying to post at least 2 episodes a week. This past week I was only able to do 1. Old age set in. So for the past couple weeks I've been struggling with I pulled a muscle in my neck. So I've been dealing with that. The muscle relaxers I'm on have been making me nauseous. So I just hadn't felt like recording. I hadn't felt great. Today's like the first day that I actually feel halfway decent. Maybe because I haven't taken my muscle relaxer yet. I'm about due for it. It's late in the evening, so I'll be taking it. I always take it before I go to bed now. It makes me sleep good. Um, and I do wake up, a little nauseous, but I do feel it's better for me to take it at night, especially since I work full time during the day. Because when I was taking it during the day, um, it was making me nauseous and like I couldn't even hardly function. Um, and plus I was in pain, so it was just a bad combination. Now earlier this year, I pulled a stomach muscle. I don't know how I did either one of them. I don't know how it happened, but it did. So I'm on the same muscle relaxer that I was on earlier this year. And I took them at night before I went to bed, and I didn't have any issues um, with the medicine, with the medication. I had no issues. I didn't feel bad. It kicked in about a week. I felt halfway decent. The pain, I haven't had any pain since. My neck pain is still a little uncomfortable, but we're just going to push through. So this week coming up, episode 6 and 7 will be posted within the week. I just had to finish editing what was supposed to be episode 6 into 7. So let's just go ahead and get on into the show. I really don't want to be here long, but you know how I do. Get to rambling and, is what it is. So first, I want to announce that I have started my Substack. Make myself bigger there. There we go. So my Substack page is in the beginning stages. I'm getting everything set up. I'm trying to think of what I want to do for if anyone subscribes, um, you know, for the monthly plan or whatever. Trying to think of anything special that I want to do. Like, am I going to do like live shows on there? Is it going to be more personal writings on there? I don't know what I'm going to do yet, so nothing has been set yet. But if you want to, go ahead and subscribe to my Substack. And you don't have to. Once everything gets published and I start posting stuff on there, I started posting started writing a couple stories, posts on there. Not stories. I haven't done my stories yet, but I started a couple posts that I had them in my phone recently that I wanted to write about. And yeah, so it'll be, I'll be doing my thing. I believe my page is DannieBSpeaks .substack.com, but I will have the correct link on my social medias and my YouTube page and all that stuff. I'll be posting it and everything. But yeah, I finally started one. I went on and I read a little bit about it. watch some YouTube videos on, starting Substack and all that stuff. And I'm going to continue my education like I do with everything. I still watch videos on podcasting, what I need to do, what I should do, what I shouldn't do. So um, that's going to be coming. I'm excited about it to get back into writing. I never stopped writing, as I talked about before, but to put it out there because I do love to write. Some people still love to read. So, I'm loving this visual thing. I'm getting used to being in front of the camera, but we'll see how all this goes. So that is a thing. Next story. Let's see. Where should we go? Let me see. Well, I don't have a picture. I'm pretty sure most of you know um, who Nancy Grace is. Um, I'm not a huge fan of Nancy Grace, and I'm not going to lie. Maybe about 10, 11, 12 years ago, maybe even longer than, no, it's probably longer than that. But I used to watch her show every night. And yeah, I mean, she had a show that came on every night. I don't know if she still does or not. I don't even know what channel she's on. I don't follow her no more. She can be kind of annoying, and I think the older that I've got, the more, um, just irritated I get by things, and she can be a bit much, but she is jumping head first into getting to the bottom of the Nolan Wells case. And I am here for all of it. Okay. I am here for Nancy Grace because, like I posted when I first found out, she is the right amount of crazy to get this. And people have already been posting clips from her show where she's had people on there and she is completely gathering. And I'm here for all that. So I'm excited. I'm excited for her to get involved. I mean, it's a serious case. And, you know, I do a true crime podcast. I haven't posted in a while. The first episode that I'm doing back, I wanted it to be like a follow up to one that I did, a local case here in Columbus. So, but I do want to go into the Nolan Wells case. If Keisha and I, when we come back, we'll probably hit on it. I don't know. It depends on how much more information comes when we do get back together to start recording Girl You Know What again. But nothing in this case seems right. And there's this I guess he's a police officer or nothing. I never heard of him, but he's MAGA, and he's been interviewing the friends who supposedly had these gag orders and everything, and lawyered up and everything. But he's been interviewing them, some of them. I know a couple of them for sure, and he's really trying to, prove their innocence. And the thing is, they may be. We don't know what happened, but somebody knows what happened. I don't believe that what was found in the independent autopsy, it was different from what the original autopsy said. And we know what that's about. They didn't want to make it seem like it was a crime that was committed, like it was an accident or whatever. And what was found in the independent autopsy were things that makes it look like that there was foul play and that there's more to it. Um, I don't know. And I want to talk about this on the True Crime podcast, but a good friend of mine who grew up around a lot of white people. Now, I think a lot of black people and some white people too, but I'm going to speak as a black person. We always talk about how, we're not going to, we're not letting, um, one of our people be in a position as to where they're going to be the only minority there, where, they may be in a condition to where they're not susceptible to anything positive happening. Let's just put it like that. And she said that white people really aren't um, you know, brought up that way. It's almost, and I think that white people have a lot of trust amongst each other. Um, as black folks, we don't trust anybody. I hate to say it, and but it's the truth. I believe it's the truth. We, barely trust anybody, and so a lot of people are asking, why didn't his friends stay with him? Why didn't his friends check on him? And that's the story that we were being fed, and we're still being fed, is that he wanted to go off and do his own thing and his friends let him or whatever. But there's so many weird circumstances that has happened with just the explanation. And let's say that is the truth. How did y'all get his cell phone? Did you just happen to find? There are so many questions. There are so many questions, and um, so it's a good thing that there is someone besides black people, because sometimes we do need an ally or whatever, somebody of another persuasion. Um, we need mixed company sometimes, and Nancy Grace, I believe, is that one. And I'm not saying that she's coming in to be the savior or whatever, but we know what Nancy Grace gives. I mean, when she has her foot still on Scott Peterson's neck, she has her foot still on Casey Anthony. I mean, and how long ago were, those cases? I mean, I'm just saying. So, not saying that she's going to be the great white hope, pun intended, but, you know, more people need to be have different opinions, and she'll be able to have people on her show that have these strong opinions about protecting the friends, and I put friends lightly. um, and the crazy thing to me too is, I'm gonna get off this in a second because I really don't want to get too deep into it, but the crazy thing is we've been seeing like the friends at his house, the friends that were at his memorial service, his funeral, they're all black. Now maybe these were his school friends. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's just weird. But I'm just like, where were these friends? Maybe that wasn't their thing. To go out and hang out in that with that group or whatever. But it's very um, interesting that that's what we're seeing now. And I'm not saying that's by design. Those were obviously his friends. Um, I don't know if any of the people that were with him were at his memorial service. I didn't watch it. I didn't want to. Um, but they probably were advised not to go, um, because it probably wouldn't have been pretty. So, yeah, it's a lot of open-ended questions, but Nancy's on the case, so let's see what happens with that. All right. So let's get into the next one, next story. Where should we go? Here we go. Why does this keep There we go. All right. So, questions. A lot of people have questions. Now, usually, I mean, I've been playing 2K since it first came out. I haven't, I didn't, don't think I bought it last year. Yeah, I did. I did buy it last year. Um, no, I didn't. I bought the year before. I didn't buy it last year. All right. Sorry, y'all. Had a slight emergency, so I had to pause the recording and come back. Um, so let's get into back into this. Um, for NBA 2K7, they have like um three different covers. It used to just be one back in the day. Um, and it wasn't necessarily. It was usually like the MVP of the league. Um, a champion. But then over the past few years, for the NBA cover, they had two separate ones. They have it was usually the MVP of the championship team would get the cover, and then it would be like a Legends. This year for the Legends, it's Derrick Rose. And of course, it's usually a retired player who is now considered an NBA legend. And then there's a WNBA one, and Caitlin Clark is on the cover for the WNBA version. So for the NBA version, you see here we have um, the fake tough guy, Wemby, on the cover, and it's causing a lot of problems, but to me, it says a lot. The main thing it says to me is that he was already planned for the cover once the Spurs made the finals because it was already the Spurs were supposed to win and the Knicks squashed that. Um, I don't think that the way that he conducted himself this season, especially in the finals and the playoffs period, because he has some other incidents that happened in the playoffs overall, not just the finals against the Knicks, but he showed his ass, and I don't think he deserves to be on the cover, and it just shows that um, pretty much just what I said. I mean, I don't really have much to say about it. I'm not happy about it because we know who should be on the cover. The MVP of the finals, Jalen Brunson. The champion, Jalen Brunson. And some people are even saying that OG should be on the he could have been on there before Wemby, you know. So whatever, but I'm not surprised. And yeah, so I'm not surprised, but to me it just says that this was already planned and that the NBA planned on the Spurs winning. And that says a lot about the league nowadays. So there is that. Also in NBA news, LeBron has settled on a team and he says this is his last team. This is the last announcement. And he will be playing for the Philadelphia 76ers. Um, y'all can build any team y'all want in the East. You're still going to have to go through the Knicks. People are already saying it's going to be a Knicks 76ers Eastern Conference Finals, and they're already saying that, Philly's going to win it all. Okay. I mean, we'll see. I mean, first of all, the players on the teams have to stay healthy. Um, I mean, Philly is going to have a good team, but can they match up with the Knicks? We shall see. It's going to be interesting. There are, other contenders in the league that are, I mean, in the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm to stay on the East right now since that's where Bron is going. And I would have liked to have seen LeBron go back to Cleveland to finish out his career. Um, Philly was interesting. It wasn't on my radar. I didn't think that he was, I didn't see him going to Philly. I could see it because, LeBron likes to join teams that already have top tier players, which, is not really heard of for a superstar, for one of the best players in the league, because LeBron is chasing championships, and that's fine. I mean, he proved that when he left Cleveland the first time, which I didn't blame him for leaving. There were a lot of things going on behind the scenes that most people know about now. Um, him asking for help for years. Um, so many things that were going on behind the scenes with the Cavaliers back then to um, why he ended up leaving. And I've never been a Miami Heat fan. For people who know, just, me being a lifetime Knicks fan, Knicks and the Heat used to go at it in the 90s. And it would get very ugly. And the Heat would play dirty. And, I just never respected the Heat and the organization. Um, when LeBron signed, I didn't care for their coach. Never really been a big D Wade fan. Um, Chris Bosh, I mean, I really didn't. I mean, I knew about him, but I mean, yeah. But when they put together that team, I was just like, and ever since then, the league has gone down. Let's keep it real, because it's been proved that for certain players and certain teams, signings and trades can be stopped by the league. It's been proven, it's happened. But for him to put together a team like that, and even though it took him, like, people thought that they were going to win straight up, that the whole time that they were just going to win every year with this team. Um, and of course, the team didn't stay together long. They won a couple championships, which is great. But it just shows how finicky the league is and how finicky the players are nowadays. There's not a lot of loyalty. I don't think LeBron is loyal at all. I'm going to say it, because for a player like LeBron, a franchise player, he's never made it to being a franchise player. He hasn't stayed with one team long enough. Um, and so, I mean, after he left the Heat, he went back to the Knicks. I mean, oh Lord, he went back to the Cavs. And within a couple seasons, they won the NBA championship. Great. I think, didn't he play like another season, and then he left and went to LA, and that was just a shit show. Um, it was good. It was okay at first, but to find out, of course, people are saying it now, but to find out that the Lakers fans didn't want him there, a lot of them didn't really want him there, um, which is interesting to me, but not surprising. And for him to leave, I get it. There were rumors that he was going to sign with the Timberwolves. There were rumors that he wanted to play for the Knicks. I don't know how true that is, but he didn't get, recruited by the Knicks or whatever, I guess you could say. Um, let's see, who else? Oh, Golden State. Golden State was supposed to be a top contender, too. And I think Golden State has had their time. Um, they can't keep a team together like they did before. So, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. When you look at it in the way LeBron sees the league and sees the opportunity that he can have to win a championship, it does make sense for him to sign with the Sixers. The Sixers made it to to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and they got swept, but they didn't have the team that they had this year. They have Jaylen Brown, which is a great addition, and they have now LeBron. So that's two top tier players that they received on top of who they had, who's still there. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how the dynamic may switch. Um, you know, I don't know. I don't know, but I think LeBron, he's messed up his legacy. He's still going to be one of the greatest players ever to play the game. And I'm just keeping it real. I'm a Bron fan. Um, especially from him being from Ohio, definitely. Um, I do like the Cavs. I've always liked the Cavs. I always try to root for the home team, which would be an Ohio team, because of course, for football and professional football and basketball, we don't have a Columbus doesn't have a professional team. The Buckeyes are our team. So we're never going to. Columbus is never going to get a professional football or an NFL team, I should say, or an NBA team because then they would overshadow Ohio State. I mean, let's just keep it real. I mean, we have professional hockey, professional soccer. Um, there is a the football teams here now, the Columbus Aviators, but it's not the NFL. Um, so they're not going to overshadow the Buckeyes. But yeah, I mean, I try to root for Bron, but he's not he's not a loyal player. Um, and people could argue with that, whatever, but that's just what I think. I mean, you see players like who he's in the same category with. You see players like Kobe and um, Jordan, players like that who played with the same team throughout their entire career, pretty much. Kobe, he played for the Lakers his entire career, and then Michael Jordan, he had, like he left to go play. He retired once. He left to go play baseball. He came back to the Bulls, and then he, left again, and he went to the Wizards. That was different. I don't think people really cared too much about, like him leaving and going because, we had new players that have come in. Jordan was at his official retirement age. And that was no shade. It's just saying that he was at a place in his career where he could retire anytime and he would still be the greatest player of all time. Um, so it's just interesting. LeBron, this will be his fifth. Let me see. Cavs, Miami, Lakers, and now Philly. That's four teams. I mean, nowadays it's really not bad, but for one of the top players of all time to have played for four teams, it's a little weird to me. And maybe it's just from where I come from, um, and how long I've been a fan of the NBA and watching it. That's why I don't really watch it anymore because shit like this, shit like that. What's he doing? Anyway, next topic. Oh, this is a goodie. This is a goodie. So Amanda Seals, she's an interesting person. I have a. It's like some things that she says I agree with, but I think that um she has a lot of thoughts and opinions, but she doesn't think about the outcome and what it's affecting and who it's affecting. Um, and there are a lot of people that are like that. And it's scary when celebrities are like that. People who have huge followings are like that because it's not saying that you can't say have your opinion or whatever. That of course you can have your opinion, but the thing is, you can't be strong and wrong. You know, a great bit of the time and say that, you only go after these black people because they're not doing anything productive for us or whatever. But what are you doing? I mean, you haven't done anything really productive. I mean, you just get on there and run your mouth, and I mean, it is what it is. And like I said, there are some things that she says that I'm like, okay, girl, like I can feel you on this. And I do follow her still on, on social media, whatever, because I am curious as to what she has to say. But some people forget that she's an actress. That she was a child actress, and then um, I don't know if she's been in anything recently, but the last big thing that she was in, she was on the TV show Insecure. And I watched Insecure when it was on. To me, it was an okay show. I think it was just one of those shows that I got into it, and I respect Issa Rae. I was a fan of Issa Rae when, she was doing Awkward Black Girl just on YouTube. And then Awkward Black Girl pretty much turned into Insecure. And it was a good show, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was into it, but I mean, it just, I was just like, I could have took it or leave it. But it's just one of those shows where once you start watching, you kind of have to finish. And it was like one of the first series in a long time that I actually started. And even though, like, towards the end, it started getting on my nerves, like, there are a lot of shows, like, I couldn't even tell you with the last couple seasons of the show, what they had going on or whatever, because I stopped watching. I lost interest. The storylines got stupid. And Insecure was on like a teetering part of that for me. But I did finish it. And it was okay. It was okay to end. I think it started off real strong, and then towards the end, it was just like, okay, now it's time to end it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's just my opinion. But they're doing a tour, and they're going to have the original cast um, come together, and there are probably some people who aren't going to be there, but majority of the cast of the show is there. Amanda Seals was a part. What was her character's name? Tiffany, I think. I think. Don't. I think it was. But anyway, so she's basically been asked not to come, and she doesn't seem too upset about it. But she did one of those Netflix things or whatever that people are doing, the trending thing, where um, they sit down to the Netflix music, and it's like talking about how their documentary is going to be or whatever, or what their show is going to be about. And hers was about not being invited to the Insecure tour or whatever. Um, I mean, nobody should be surprised. People are actually surprised that she wasn't invited, and I don't think that she's really surprised that she wasn't invited. I think that I think it's more of an ego thing, so that's why she's talking about it. And that's fine. I mean, you were a part of this show, you were a part of the cast, but this goes for just anything in general. You can't talk shit about people badly. I mean, dog them and think that they're going to invite you in. Um, and like I said, I don't know from what I'm getting and what she's portraying, what she's saying, it doesn't seem like she feels that way. I think that a part of her does feel like she should be there because she was a part of the show, but you attacked, and not saying Issa didn't do anything to you either. I'm not saying that, but you seriously, I don't know why I keep leaning to this side, y'all. I mean, you went in on Issa, and it may be rightfully so. Y'all had your issues or whatever, but you can't go on all these platforms and dog the creator of the show, um, and pretty much the leader of the Insecure family, and think that you're going to be a part of it. And I think this mainly goes to her fans or people who may just not like Issa Rae, may think that, or just may be huge fans of the show and think that she needs to be there because she was a huge part of the show. She was a part of the cast. But it just goes to prove that you can't talk shit about people and then expect to be included in things. I mean, you can't operate that way. You know what I mean? Like, it's I don't know. I don't know what some people's thought patterns are when it comes to stuff like that. Um, I don't know if people just have this big um, thing of forgiveness or whatever, or if y'all just like stirring the pot. I don't know. Or you just really that clueless to think that, or you're one of those people who think that you could say whatever you want to people and everything be cool. No, we don't do that. No, you can't just say whatever you want to me and then be all like, hey, like what about me? No, So she won't be on the tour. I think it looks like if this is the itinerary on this flyer right here, it looks like it's only about what, five? I don't have my glasses on. 5 or 6 cities. I don't know if they're going to do more, but it'll be interesting to see what they talk about, whatever, and what the premise of the tour is going to be. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. So yeah, let's get her on off of there. Now, I saved the best for last. And me saying I saved the best for last, this person who will probably never see this podcast, whatever, but she would love that because the ego is strong with this one. So, look who I'm not going to post the Netflix thing that she did, um, where she had on her regalia, and we'll get to that in a second. Trying to still prove that she earned her PhD and that she walked the stage and she did this, that, and the third. Um, Honestly, I forgot about her. I totally forgot about the chick. But, she still wants to, double down, triple down, quadruple down, whatever, to the fact that she is a educated PhD person. And that's what I'm going to call her. I know that's not what it's called, but I wanted to say something else, but I wasn't going to say that. That was too rude. Um, and I'm not going to go in on her. We're just going to bring up some things that I have come across, and it's just very interesting. She's a very interesting person to me. Um, and I think we talked about this when um, this stuff started happening a couple months ago. Whatever, we talked about it on the Girl You Know What podcast, where she, you know, basically people were questioning her credentials and wanting her to show her transcripts, or even her dissertation, something to prove that she earned and received, actually earned and received her PhD, and not an honorary one, which we're going to get to in a second, which is where her regalia that she donned in the Netflix uh, um, viral video went, trend, whatever you want to call it. So this is Cheyenne Bryant, which I mean, people are calling her Sheehan Bryant. I mean, because they're saying that she got that gown, her cap and gown, and all of that beautiful stuff, beautiful gowns. That she got it from Amazon. People found it on Amazon. There were some other websites. I don't know if Sheehan was one, but people are calling her Dr. Sheehan Bryant or just Sheehan Bryant. I don't even know if they're giving her the doctor title no more. I'm not, because I have too many people in my life that I care about who have PhDs, who have worked their asses off for that degree. They have earned the right to be called doctor. Um, and if the thing is, like, a lot of people say, well, she doesn't have to prove anything or whatever, but she kind of does. She kind of does, because now it's at a point, especially after doing all this nonsense and still trying to, keep your name out there. 'Cause like I said, I forgot about her. But I think that I don't know if she's a compulsive or pathological liar. Maybe a little bit of both. I think it doesn't really matter at this point. But I mean, not only with this, but she said that she was the first black person to open up a shop on Rodeo Drive. I mean, girl, nobody can prove that. She can't prove it. Nobody else can, has any record of that. That she has a shop on Rodeo Drive, that she opened it with someone else. I mean, the lies are just, it's something is seriously wrong. Something is seriously wrong with her. And, we all got a little touch, something going on, but you can't be going out here, you know what I mean, carrying yourself the way that you do, um, talking to people the way that you do, and feel that you need to be respected a certain way. Now, it's not saying that, you can't, still, that you can't cuss a little, that you can't, gather people a little bit, but I mean, you just get real ratchet. And for you to want to be respected and called a doctor and, all the things that you feel that you deserve to be called, um, you do have to carry yourself with a little decorum. You do have to have a little tact, um, especially when you're in the public eye. I mean, we've seen you on reality shows going at the reality girls. We've seen you, on panels with journalists, attacking them. And like a lot of people do, you attack them. You get very personal. Um, is that something that you would think a behavioral psychologist or whatever you are, that they should do, that they, is that, does that fit? No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. And people can say she's keeping it real and all this other stuff. It's beyond that. And I have this picture up, this lovely picture, because now, of course, now I'm a little older than B2K. When they came out, I was already in my 20s. And I mean, they're not that much younger than us, but, um, they were teenagers when they first came out. And, it just wasn't really my thing. Now, they had some bops, don't get me wrong. Like, I would hear something in the club, um, hear it on the radio. That's when music videos were still in rotation heavily. I mean, I would watch it and be like, okay, and cute little guys, dancing, whatever, okay, cool. Um, they did their thing. Can't front. B2K did their thing, and especially at a time when, um, male groups, there weren't any young male groups at that time. And we grew up with young male groups, and a lot of the groups that we had out, they were kind of fading away. The lead singer would go, uh, solo. Things just wouldn't work out. You know, dysfunction within the group, and of course, B2K has their own story of what happened and what's still happening, whatever. So, this is I think they said it's the Gots to Be video. It was like a ballad. And this is y'all's girl in the video right here. This is a still of her in the video. And I just thought it was very interesting. And it just shows that for years she has just been trying to get herself out there, whatever, and that's fine. And, that's another argument a lot of people have is, she's doing what she's supposed to do to keep her name out there. But this is bigger than that because now you're disrespecting a whole group of people. And, I even feel disrespected, not only because the people that I know, but, and let's say she has her master's. I have my master's degree. Let's say she has her master's, but she's not saying, um, and she may very well have her master's. I think I just said that, but she may very well have her master's. But no, she's at the level now where she's like, I have my PhD. You will call me doctor. I will be respected as a doctor, and nobody's respecting you. Um, it's just, it's crazy, and I think a lot of people are missing the point of why this is just disrespectful and why it has gone on long enough. So let's move to this picture that somebody posted. This gentleman right here. I just took a screenshot of it, and sorry I didn't get his name in there. I cropped it out on accident. I was just trying to get the picture to fit. But he did a video where people were talking about that she got her cap and gown from Amazon, just for that Netflix thing to to show on there or whatever. So if people wonder, I got another monitor up here that has other stuff on it that I that catches my attention. So that's why I keep looking over here. I'm sorry, but she could have they could have got this from Amazon because or Timu or wherever. Um, but this is her, where this arrow is, of course, and this is where she obtained an honorary degree, doctorate degree, honorary PhD or whatever. So why would you don your honorary cap and gown, your graduation regalia, the hood, everything? Why would you wear that when you did the real thing, allegedly? And also, I want to mention before we go to the next one, the next picture, um, she said, I mean, not she said, behind her in her Netflix thing that she did were all these degrees and everything. And, people were saying that looked like she printed them off of Canva and whatever. One that people focused in, Dr. Bryant, was in lowercase letters. I mean, the thing is, they were just like a lot of certificates. They weren't diplomas. They were just like a lot of certificates. Like when you get your high school diploma, it's a nice size. Then when you get your college diploma, it's a little bigger, your bachelor's. When you get your bachelor's, I don't know about an associate's, but when you get your bachelor's, it's a little bigger than your high school diploma is. And I assume the associate's would be too, a little bigger than your high school. Um, and then when you get your master's, it's bigger, so each degree you get is bigger. Now, if you've seen a PhD degree, it's huge, for a diploma, it's huge. Um, and what she had up there, like, wouldn't you have that up there? Wouldn't you have your diploma up there from your PhD program? I'm just saying. So then, I, I don't know, was it this same young man down here? But this right here, somebody posted this, and the college to where she said that the university, I should say, to where she said that she received her PhD is called Argosy University, and it is now closed. The accreditation is gone. Um, I believe when they were in business, they did have accreditation, I assume, because there have been people that have gone through there. And this lady right here is one, and she was supposedly in the same program that Cheyenne was in. And this is what they wore. This is what the Argosy PhD program, uh, this is what they wore. It's black. It is not this one. It's not that. I don't know what this is. It was this. Why didn't you wear that? And another thing, like when you graduate from college, regardless of what color your gown is, mine was black. Um, but on the inside, it'll have your school colors. It'll have the school colors, and I believe Now I didn't walk for my master's. I didn't care about none of that. Um, but I did. I mean, but I heard that for your PhD, it's the same thing. It'll have your school colors on the inside. Now that's what I heard. But this is what she should have been showing off. Now, if she would have had this on, people may have been like, and then saw this right here, that this young lady, that, this is what she wore to her Argosy graduation to get her PhD, when she accepted her PhD. Maybe we could have been cooking with some grease there, but no. So, another thing people have been talking about is, why don't you, since you can't get these transcripts or whatever, which is crazy, and people even said that they can get the transcripts. Um, just because Argosy is closed, you can still get your transcripts. Um, and she had some bullshit story about that. They can't, regardless of where you went, even if you went to ITT, um, there's some transcripts floating around there somewhere. They have to tell you. Now, if you transferred from somewhere from ITT Tech, those classes may not transfer, but it'll still show that you took some classes, whatever. And that's why you always need your transcripts. Um, Now, I know when I finished my bachelor's and when I finished my PhD, I mean, oh Lord, I'm lying now. I'm lying now. When I finished my master's, my bachelor's and my master's, they actually sent me my transcripts. That both times, and it was two different colleges, two different universities. They sent me my transcripts without me even asking. Now, if something happens to those, or if I need other copies, then I have to go, through the registrar and obtain them that way, like you normally would. Um, but to get the official. I have a copy of the official transcript, but like, say, like for Hampton, when I got my Hampton transcripts, when I went to go to Franklin for my master's, I had to get my official transcript, but I didn't want them to have mine because I could have just handed them mine, but I wanted to keep that for myself. So I had to go, online to Hampton and order them, pay for them, and have them sent to Franklin. So, I mean, just because your school is closed, there is somewhere where you can get those. So, the cap and gown is just ridiculous. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. So, people are saying you can't show your diploma, you can't show your transcripts. Okay, show us your dissertation, because people know that when you do your dissertation or your thesis for a PhD program, that once it goes through everything and it's accepted, your argument and everything, once all that is done, it's stored in the Library of Congress. It's stored somewhere. Okay? And I want to bring this up. Now, my friend doesn't know that I'm doing this, but I blacked out her name um, to show, this. But my friend Christine has her PhD. I believe it's in higher education administration. She may kill me for getting it wrong, but if you see this girl, I'm sorry. But and it's kind of small, but I just put her name in. First, I went to the Library of Congress, but I think some of them either you have to request in person, or I had to go like through this long thing online. I didn't have time to do all that just to see proof that her dissertation is on file. So I just did a Google search. I put her name in, and I think I just put a PhD dissertation argument or something like that. And this came up. This is on the Ohio Link database. And this is her dissertation. This is proof that if you click this link, you can go and read her dissertation. for her PhD, for when she was arguing to get her PhD. And she did get it. She's had it for quite some time, and she's earned that title to be called doctor. Um, and, I know a couple other people, but she's probably one of the closest to me. And I was actually, seeing her go through all the stages, like, when she was working her ass off, going to work, going to driving over an hour away to get her master's, sometimes coming back to work, working long hours one day, going in real early because she had to leave to go to class, and coming back and doing it over, you know, back to work or whatever. And we didn't work together when she did her PhD, but she was still working a full time job, um, which a lot of people do. And the college she went to wasn't in Columbus. She had to travel, she had to go to Kent State. That's what it says on here. It's public information. Um, but, so she had to, drive to Kent State a couple days a week or whatever. So it's you can find the proof. And so after I did my friends, just to see, like, just to show y'all what it looks like, that if someone has a dissertation that has been published, which means that they earned their PhD, that you can research it and you can see it. Um, she she doesn't have that. I put her name in. Um, I don't know if that's her real name or what, but I put in Cheyenne Bryant, um, Argosy University dissertation. Nothing came up. Nothing came up. So I don't know. Now I'm not going to play this last video, but I'm gonna put his handsome face up here.
Name to you and a
But we're gonna another Bryant, um, Jamal Bryant, Pastor Jamal Bryant. Now he received a cease and desist letter. I'm basically going to sum up this video that Keisha sent me. So basically, a friend of his was basically, I guess he came to Cheyenne's defense, or was trying to not really her defense, but trying to understand where she was coming from or whatever, as to why she may not want to show her information or whatever, try to prove anything. He wasn't saying that he agreed with it, but he was saying, basically he kind of can understand why, but he thinks that she should. So he had, a friend of his on who has her PhD and was basically, arguing against it, with him, saying, no, she does need to do this if you're going to be out here doing that, whatever. So after that, I guess he kind of changed his tune a little bit, and he's really changed his tune now because she sent him a cease and desist, and she sent it. It wasn't from, he says it wasn't from an attorney or nothing, whatever. Um, it wasn't notarized, nothing professional. It was from her. And then he receives an email from a Gmail account that is supposed to be from a president of a college that Cheyenne Bryant has recently graduated from and obtained her PhD. And I thought you already had it, sis. And I can't remember what it was in, but let me see if we can go a little further here. This is the cease and desist. That's her signature. I mean, ciao. So here we go. My name is President Jaquel Pitts. I am president of Indiana Southwest Christian University. I am pleased to announce that the university that I am currently the president of recently conferred Cheyenne Bryant a earned doctorate degree in theocentric psychology. I want to be transparent that this is not an honorary degree. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant also was provided transcripts. Due to FERPA regulations, I will not be providing a copy of her transcript as you have to contact Dr. Bryant for a copy of that. So, of course, you know, Jamal Bryant, intelligent man within his own right, he did his own research. And I'll play a little bit of it right here.
From Dr. Jaquel Pitts.
Let's see, let's go a little further here because he's just going to read what I said. Okay.
I did a quick Google search. Indiana, the whole state, does not recognize an Indiana Southwestern Christian University is not registered. The president claimed that the degree is in theocentric psychology. Again, I didn't even use Claude or ChatGPT. Google, the cheapest one, says that theocentric psychology shifts a person from ego to universal thought. I don't even know what that means. The president goes on to say that they cannot provide any transcripts. I send a one-line email. Who are y'all accredited by? And he sent me back this. Accreditation Religioso. I don't know what this means. But ladies and gentlemen, the last line that I've highlighted for you is no transcript can be provided. I'm not going back and forth with y'all. The president of Indiana Southwest Christian University doesn't even have a college email. Jaquel Pitts is on Gmail. So if you want the transcript, email him directly, and maybe he'll be able to give you answers I'm not able to provide. Y'all, let's shut the case on Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. The only robes I want to see people in are the 500 kids who are trying to go to Howard, an accredited school. God bless you.
And there's that. So, I mean, they're still out here pulling stunts and shows, and I don't know who this is, now that she got doing her bidding or whatever, but it's out of control. I mean, I'm telling you, something has to be wrong. Something is terribly wrong with her. Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess, since there's people, calling themselves doctor, all the time, as a stage name or whatever. I mean, we'd even give you that, girl. If you wanted to be like Dr. Dre, we know he's not a doctor. You know what I mean? We know he's not a real doctor, PhD, MD, whatever. But we accept it because we know that's his stage name, you know. And there was another Dr. Dre who used to host the OMTV Raps and was in Who's the Man. He went by, his stage name was Dr. Dre too. So, I mean, we have those, I mean, it's really sad. It really is. It's just at a point right now where you just kind of have to just be like, girl. I mean, we got some sick people out here. We really do. Um, I don't know what else to say about it. It's crazy, and I'm glad that Pastor Bryant did mention the Howard students. Who, if you don't know what happened, I'm gonna look more into that to see what's going on. But I just saw it yesterday. But some of the students on Howard from Howard University's incoming freshman class, a lot of them are basically being told you can't come here because they had a deadline to send in their fees, and they didn't pay them all in full what they were supposed to pay, the fees, that you're supposed to pay up front or whatever. And they're all saying, well, we never were given a deadline. There was no time that they said that these had to be paid or whatever, or else they would have been paid. Knowing that this, would have been an option, of course they would have been paid. So from last I read, it doesn't look like Howard's backing down, and there are a lot of students that this is affecting. So it had to be something. Um, I mean, I could see, being a few who probably couldn't come up with the money, or may have let the email slip through. Which, if you were receiving, like, I know if I'm expecting an email from someone in particular, or something, like, especially you're starting school and you're excited, you're going to be looking through your spam email. You're going to be looking through, everything, checking your emails to see, what you got going on. Um, but I also think that, we're in a day and age now where everything is electronic. If it was that serious, then they should have also mailed something home, um, to remind them or whatever, something like that. Ooh, something like that. So it's sad. I feel bad for them. School's getting ready to, I mean, it's almost August. Um, you know, they're getting ready to start back soon. A lot of them, are getting ready, and, Howard is like, the biggest HBCU, out there. It's one of the top tier. Um, and I mean, it has to be some accountability on Howard's part, especially if they didn't relay that information. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to look more into it. And if it's, I'm sure, I mean, it's definitely worth reporting on because I'm mentioning it. Sorry. Um, I got to mess up a word or two throughout, a show here or there. But yeah, I mean, I think that Howard needs to reevaluate because that's a lot of students. It's hundreds. It's not just like 20, you know, not even just 100, which that would be too many. But it has to be something that, these students did enough to get into Howard, which is not easy to get into Howard. If they did enough to get into Howard, I'm pretty sure they would have been checking their email and trying to, if they didn't have the money, they would have been making arrangements or doing something, to keep their spot. But then just to receive a notice basically saying that you don't go here anymore, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I'm just like, I'm really disappointed in Howard University and the way that they handled this. And I'm not going to do any, HU jokes. I'm not going to do it because I could. But, this is serious. The petty side of me just wants to go in on Howard, but we don't know the whole story. Um, but I just don't see that many students missing that, especially when you know that you have these fees that need to be paid, especially when you know that, school is starting soon. But if you're not given a date, and you may be coming from a family who doesn't have the funds, you may be trying to work, to get them. It's nice to know a date by when you need to have them, and some of them may even had the money, but they just didn't send it, because they thought they had time or whatever, but it's very concerning. Um, and I think a lot of things need to be reevaluated. But that's it for this week's show. I covered quite a bit of topics. Don't forget to check out my Substack when that gets posted. I will keep everything going. With that, the information, the link and all that stuff. I'm gonna be working on some other stuff for this podcast. Work on having some people on here. I already had a couple people reach out to me who want to be on the show. Some people want me to start going live. I do want to do that. We had to figure all that out. All that stuff is coming. This is all. I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things. Like I said, I'm just getting more comfortable back on here now. So, all my social media information is in the description box. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you are enjoying what I'm doing here. Something a little different. from what I've done before, but I like it. I'm starting to really get to like it, and I can't wait till um, Keisha and I get back on Girl You Know What, and we can bring you stuff like this as well. But until then, everybody take care of yourselves. Don't be out here scamming the children. Don't be doing that. Um, that's all I got to say. All right, y'all. Have a good one. I will catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.